Hey everybody, and welcome back to my podcast. This is number 7. Woo! We have made it. So far, we've made it. So far, I'm still alive, and I exist. So, hey, props to that, especially, because existing's really hard nowadays, and the world seems to be on the brink of chaos and craziness going on. I have no idea what's going on, truthfully. But, on my end, I have an idea what's going on. As always, still impoverished. Yay! So, with that being said, I'll be traveling here in the next week or so. So, I'll be looking forward to. You know, it's always going to be fun. Hopefully, I'll be able to keep some videos going out. I may be sluggish, but as I've proven in my podcast, I'm always sluggish with that. But that being said, let's hit to my usual updates, my videos. I have just released my officially second Back to Morrowind gameplay video, which I've actually introduced some interesting music aspects to it and tried to explain the game in more fuller details, as well as exploring new areas, which I'm going to continue, hopefully, if you guys let me and like what I'm doing. Please go like it, check it out, let me know what's going on in your heads, and if you don't like it, let me know too. Also, I've continued my Fallout 4 explorations. So I love Fallout 4, and I'm going to continue to play it, and I have so much footage of it, so I plan to use a lot of it. So keep in tune with that. Let me know what you like about it, if you want me to focus on certain aspects of the game more than others, or general feedback works great. Or if I'm not funny, tell me how to be funny. Or if I'm not too literal, tell me how to be literal. Or, I don't know, just tell me something. Jeez, anybody listening out into the internet of world, tell me something. Hurry! So, retro gaming. My last release was Crash Bandicoot, which I'm going to release the second cup on it with me and my buddy Ryan here. But after that, we'll never know. But no, for the retro cup, bleh. English is not my proper language. I'm going to renounce it now. But no, retro gaming. I have a few more retro games coming up. I had previously said what games I was looking at that I was going to do. So those are in the workshop as well. So keep an eye on them. I'm going to hopefully get another 2 done by next week. My goal is to get 2 retro games. That does not include Morrowind, because I consider it retro, but I'm going to give it its own energy and its own wave, because I love Morrowind. It's one of my favorite games. It's what truly brought me into the line of Elder Scrolls and Bethesda gaming world. So I'm going to give it its due credit, as I always do to Fallout 4. But for retro gaming, I'm going to finish up with the Crash Team Racing, and then I'll be looking at some other retro games that I think are worthy to be played on the consoles, mind you, not just PC. I plan to do PC, but I feel PC always is getting the best rep in the internet world, and consoles are worthy of them, so I'm going to give consoles their due just deserves, as well as I'm better at consoles, not because I choose them over PC, but just simply because I've always played consoles, and I have more, I can afford it as much as I can't. It's an awkward love romance, because PC is generally cheaper because the games are relatively more cheap, but when it comes to specs, software, and all that sorts, my computer's been lagging since I've devoted a third of my life to going overseas. I haven't devoted any to that. So while I'm coming up to speed with the PC, everybody's going to have to deal with the consoles, because I like my PlayStation 4. I'm not going to lie, I enjoy playing it, and I enjoy not playing it. So, you know, we're going to do a little bit of both, and I'm going to give attention to every game that is necessarily given attention to. I'm going to be doing a lot more team plays, which is in turn playing with other people. I'm going to be releasing some footage, hopefully in the next couple weeks, probably 2 or 3, with one of my buddies that I've been playing online with, which I'll give him a shout out later in this podcast. But I've been playing with him lately, and he's been helping me tenacious. He's been helping me as well as plaguing me with more stuff to add and more stuff to do, which I'm already overwhelmed with the little amount I've actually been doing as of late. So, with that being said, there's a lot coming in my team play area, besides my buddies playing consoles with me and doing that sort of stuff, because I always loved that gameplay aspect of the consoles, because it was so personal. Anyway, with that being said, look forward to that, because I've been working tenaciously on it, as well as I've been having some help from others. So, please, give us the due deserves that come with that. And, if you find it interesting or have any feedback, by all means, let me know, as long as it's, chill. I haven't had much feedback, but I've had some good feedback too at the same time. So I can't say otherwise. So, new games I'm looking at. Obviously, if you are a PC gamer, right now, as well as a week ago and a week prior to that, all the gaming sites that are online are giving huge sales. So, with that being said, I'm going to devote a huge chunk of my existence money to buying a ton of those games in bundles. And when it comes to the bundles, I'm going to get all kinds of games, hopefully to be promoting stuff. So, if you're listening to this now, jump on Steam because I get a good sale going on until July the 4th, and you can get tons of bundle games and everything. Also, there are other sites like GOG or GOG.com, which give tons of deals on games, bundles, individual games, whatever you're looking for, and they have all sorts of things going on. I'll give you some links below so you can check them out, but be sure to go, listen. Listen to my podcast and you'll hear English, blah, blah, blah. You'll hear it better, and you'll be able to, support me as well as, support the other websites. That being said, the games I'm looking at is Miami Hotline. It's been out for a month of Sundays, but I've never got around to getting it, so I'm going to look at it, and I've been watching Markiplier play it for quite a little bit, and I was like, oh man, I want to play it now. Magicka 1 and 2, which was in a bundle set, a buddy of mine was looking at and suggested it, so I want to look at it. Also, the Elder Scrolls games. I'm going to get those in a bundle because I love Elder Scrolls and I'm obsessed with it and I want to get them all. And I want to play them on the PC. So that's one part of it. Mountain Blade. They have so many bundles that are coming out or that are free, so I want to get onto that. I want to play some of those, and I also have some friends that play it and suggested the games to me. So, with that being said, I'm going to jump on that bundle series. And there's a few others that I haven't mentioned because there's 1,000 games I'm looking at. So, those are the ones that are going to be my main purchasings. So, you'll be looking forward to those videos in the future, and if I don't present them, then you have every reason to string me up and beat me with a stick. Preferably not do that. That would not be pleasant. That would be painful, and I would not really appreciate that. So, with that being said, I'm always looking for artists and editors. If you know anybody that wants to edit, or, any sorts, or do artwork, fan art, or I doubt there's enough fans out there to help out, but anybody that does art and wants to do commissions, let me know who they are, email me, message me, comment, or, just don't tell me anybody because you don't know anybody, because that works too. That always works. Well, with that said, that's my updates for the news, which comes to the latter part of the discussions and thoughts. What I have decided is this is going to be, as I have aptly named the podcast, is The Great Divide, because not only is it dividing in our world, but I'm dividing my podcast up now. I'm going to be doing just the podcasts for updates and news, but it won't include thoughts or any of my political atmosphere, or in my political energies, or my thought energies, or any of that substance. So this would be the last one that's fully entertained. That is the full 30 to hour long one with all my thoughts and views and all that jazz, or my aptly named discussion of thoughts. So with that being said, I have a lot to talk about, everything relating with the whole Brexit, as they aptly name it, and a lot of pain in that area as well, because it's, you start looking at Britain and you see what is boiling down over there. You have it is truly a country divided between its controlled areas, between Wales and England proper, wanted to leave the EU as well, or as opposed to Scotland and Northern Ireland that did not want to leave the EU. Then you had a huge surgence of immigration issues, which are prompted by racism, bigotry, and hatred, and misunderstandings and lack of understanding of immigrants and people of other not nationalities really, of other races, truthfully, and other sorts of cultures that are all meshed into the fabrics of a nation, which are quintessential to any developing country or developed nation as England is, or United Kingdom is. But the problem is, they're putting hate and bigotry, and they're putting this energy to the wrong areas that are not supposed to be focused on. They are dividing their country. We're weakening their resolve in the great European experiment, which is the EU. Of course, the EU has its own plight of problems that they have to confront, and the immigration crisis did cause a huge rupture and resurgence of Eurosceptic or nationalism in most of the European countries, as well as the Great Recession that caused economic crises, economic downturns for most of the southern Mediterranean nations like Greece, Italy, Spain, and Portugal, which had tenacious problems economically. But that being said, they're blaming. They're not solving problems, they're blaming. They're letting their own fears, hatreds, and bigotry and misunderstandings, as I previously stated, to fill up their heads with these ideas that attacking these individuals, attacking immigration, it is the root of all the problem. But it's not. I've been listening to a lot of people talk about this situation, from YouTubers especially, to talk show hosts, to analysis, economic analysis advisors, all these other premium medium stations. Wow, I'll say that 10 times as fast. These stations enlighten or talk about the subject in good and negative light, which I've never been okay with the idea of Britain. I wasn't before okay with the idea of Britain leaving the EU, simply because it is the great European experiment to unify the whole of Europe to one group, to one single market, so they can not only have to be competing, they're not necessarily competing with one another anymore. They were working together as a union, which made them stronger all together, because now, instead of United Kingdom being just, well, now it's going to be just United Kingdom, or Germany being just Germany, or France just being France, they were a part of a union, which allowed, flow of money, flow of people, everything. It made it less problematic for them in the future dealing with foreign policy. They didn't have to look at each other as, say, enemies or adversaries necessarily in the national level, like the governmental level, like, it's Germany against France, we got to hate each other, we got to build our armies to match them, because that's what is the alternative. If you start breaking everything up, they start looking at each other in suspicion, and they don't trust each other. They're very hostile to one another. They only work so far as they already have suspicion, yes. They already are somewhat hostile to each other, yes. But it's more of a sibling rivalry at this stage than it is so much as a national pedigree to hate the other ones because they're foreign and they're alien and we don't like them and they're our enemy and they've always been our enemy. It was more like, well, okay, we'll work on this field, but they're more sports teams like, where they're competing with one another to be better, but they're not doing it to destroy one another. They want to see the other challenge them, and they want to beat them at a game, as opposed to destroying their culture and their national identity or taking their resources. It's not that kind of hatred. It's more of a rivalry, in a sense, a healthy form of a rivalry that allows growth, progress, and sustainability somewhat more than the other alternative, which has been proven to be a failure. Europe has been, individualistic nationalist states. Nation states is the term early on in the 20th century deemed nation states, Nation states where they were concerned with their own existence, which is prompt. You need to concern your own existence, but they were doing it in a hostile attitude where I gotta fight him, they're our enemy. They were surrounded by enemies and they couldn't focus besides that. Where the EU, the greater European experiment, allowed them to be less suspicious, less hostile, less focused on military aims and conquering their rivals around them, and focus on the greater good of corporate rivalries. Doesn't mean to say it hasn't had its downfalls. Obviously, everything has a pitfall, everything has its cons, but that's better than the world wars, the 100 Years' Wars that have plagued Europe, the Napoleonic Wars that plagued Europe, the constant strife and fear and warmongering among the European nation states, which is the only alternative. Europe has been for over, 70 years at peace. I mean, look at it. World War II ended in 1944, and all of a sudden, Europe has been relatively peaceful. Coming from the advent of 2 world wars, prior to that was the entire Napoleonic Wars. The only other period of peace and prosperity in Europe was after the Congress of Vienna and the Napoleonic Wars, and then prior to that, there really wasn't much peace. It was constant warfare and rivalries. True, they had different governments and stuff, but even with that, governments come and go, but the concept of the European Union was to maintain stability and keep Europe unified and not fighting amongst itself. And a strong Europe is a united Europe, just like a strong America is a strong America is a united America, or United States in this case, because as I say America, I'm neglecting the concept of North and South Americas, which the other American countries, they have their own agenda and they do their own thing, and they're not as similar as the United States, nor is Canada and Mexico. But that being said, that prompts more problems because it's like a contagion. It's a virus that spreads this Eurosceptic ideology or this Eurosceptic ideas. I may be saying it wrong, but the bigotry, the fear, the racism, the hatred only create nationalist tendencies that breed more radical ideas of how things should be demonstrated, how things should be observed, and how they should be handled. And thus, it's going to lead to a great breakdown. America had the same question which prompted the Civil War in the 1960s. Wow, man. Civil rights wasn't a Civil War. The 1860s, pardon me, where the Civil War obviously happened because of a lot of things besides just slavery. Slavery prompted a lot of it because it was more or less one of the big, hey, this is, don't do this, you can't do this, we won't allow it. But it also involved a lot of concepts of like states' rights and the fear of them not having the same representation as they once did, the Southern Democrats as they were back in the heyday of early American history. So, with that being said, they broke away. But what ensued after that was the concept of the Union and the Confederacy of American states, which Lincoln knew that a divided America is a weaker America, and also you can't do that. It breaks up the United States. Then you don't have the United States anymore. You have something entirely different, a different animal. So with that said, America had to go into civil war, and they made the idea of secession from the United States impossible and said you can't do that. Otherwise, we will go to war and we'll keep you and we'll fight. Either we will win or, what will happen? Lose. Preferably not lose. Because now I've read some articles that saying, Texas is considered secession. It's stupid. It is flat out completely ignorant in every fathom of the world. Like, if you had to compare the Brexit, it was an idiotic idea nonetheless. I mean, craziness breaking out of it. But it has some, England has been, or United Kingdom has been independent before, and it's really more of a union of nations where they volunteer to be part of, as opposed to what Texas is, which it's not. It accepted integration into the United States. It broke away with the Confederacy back in the 1860s, and all of a sudden, now they're like, we want to be independent. What in the hell? It's stupid. In this day and age, you really want to break away from the United States just because you disagree with their policies? Okay, that's understandable, but, if you want your policies to be heard, push it into the representation houses, the government, get Texans to stage protests, you don't like something, change it. It doesn't mean just give up on it and walk away, you know? I mean, that's the problem nowadays. Oh, I'm done with it. I don't want to deal with that. No, that's idiotic. Just keep working at it, or change your policy, or change how you're working it. You know, change the mechanisms. A lot of it is just working together. When you give up and just break away, or you're done with it, that makes everybody hateful. Nobody wins, and it's really just stupid. Honestly, if you give up on something, it's idiotic. It just proves you're weaker than what you really are. I mean, if you're at least together with another entity and, you know, it ain't working very well, but there's still potential to change it. You know, you keep working at it. I mean, it's different if it was like, say, the Soviet Union and its satellite nation republics. That was different. They kept them in check. It wasn't progressive. It wasn't, you know, they were afraid to leave because of conflict. And it really didn't help them. It set them backwards. A lot of the nations of around the Soviet sphere of influence that were under their dictation. It was not so much a union as much as, okay, you're our satellites. You're going to be buffer states for any of the aggressions Europe might have, or China, or anywhere around us. You're designed to protect us. We don't care much about you. And so, you know, or like the imperialism of England, British Empire back in the colonial era, or French or German or any of those guys. They were colonial periods. They held on to these colonial provinces and they just sucked out the life on them. That's a different sort of union. That's not a union. That's more of a conquest. And in that sense, yeah, that's what you want to break away from. That's what you want to get away from, that abusive relationship. But if you're simply having disagreements, but you're benefiting really well from the union that you're in, like that, like you were introduced into it, you were given the option to go into it, and you can adjust, you know, you can push for changes, you know, you can do stuff back home still, and you're not forced to do it, but you have to accept their rules in order to play in their game. That's a world of difference. Honestly, Brett X is probably the stupidest thing I've heard, only second to Trump, which I will still say till now, all the way till he's hopefully not elected as president, is the most idiotic human being in the existence of mankind. One of the top. I mean, some of the the London mayor and the nationalist movement fella is in Britain is freaking stupid. I don't know his name. I've seen his name, but I honestly do not care enough about him because he's just a bumbling fool. And David Cameron has his own issues for bringing up the whole referendum and stuff, but that's a whole nother can of worms that are just, you know, just what it is. The whole concept of it was dumb. Why do you let the entire government, the entire nation be hinged upon a popular referendum, which leads to the idea of, well, what about voting? What about elections and stuff? Yes, but there is a huge difference in that. Instead of waiting on the tide of energy, saying, okay, this is one time we're going to do it, we're going to do it right now, this is a monumental change. You're letting the people handle a monumental change of that nature, as opposed to electing an individual that they feel is competent to handle those kinds of decisions. But then you have moments like this. A lot of American people that are idiotic and not that intelligent think Trump can handle the situations in a competent manner, when he really can't. He can't do any of that. So you have organizations that are designed to challenge that in America, where in Britain they don't. So it's a really huge political quagmire of bullshit and idiocy, but just so everybody knows, my stance on the Brett X is idiotic, completely from a standpoint of historical understanding of Europe and its design, also what its reverberations will have upon not only the global economy, the European economy, but the British economy itself, as well as immigration, stance, national views of one another. It's really more problematic than it's helpful, and it may turn out okay in the long run, but it's only going to be okay. I truly believe that in the long term it's going to be more painful than anything else, but if it's going to flatline, it will be barely sustainable, just barely. But you're going to have to dumb down education, you're going to dumb down a lot of things, you're going to hurt a lot of things to make that acceptable, and I think that's not an acceptable route to go. And I think America should have their eyes wide open to this situation and be not glaring in a hateful manner, but be looking over at England or United Kingdom and be like, okay, look what's going on over there. We need to realize that we're being stupid right now. We need to get our emotions out of our judgments and focus on reason and logic in our choices. But with that being said, I'm going to end my discussion on that point because I feel that's adequately enough to discuss about the matter itself. That being said, this moment right here is the last time I will be doing any discussions and thoughts on this particular podcast involving my news and updates in my videos. So I'll have a whole another video dedicated to my thoughts and ideas if anybody actually likes those. But if they don't, then now you don't have to suffer through it all, and you just want to hear some updates, then I'll have it here. But it'll be changed. The thoughts and discussions will still be under the podcast of Aaron, where I'll do interviews and it's more of a show. But the news and updates and stuff, new videos for my channel itself, proper, will have their own special. So with that being said, we go straight to the credits, my plugins and shoutouts. I want to give a shout out to everybody that likes me, that likes my videos, that follows me, which is a general, assumption, but anybody that does watch my videos, I thank you very much for your time and cooperation, and I really look forward to hearing anybody talk to me about it. Anybody have any suggestions, comments and stuff. It makes me feel better, not only psychologically because I'm so alone, but in reality that there are people that are genuinely interested in what I either have to say or what I'm playing or what I'm doing, and it makes you feel less lonely in the world, if that makes sense, that hey, there's other people that have similar mindsets or similar interests in what you're doing, and they're there and they exist. So I really want to thank a lot of people for that. Also want to give a shout out to the site Amy Farmer, yes, for all of her support and her helping and stuff. She's a fine lady. If you haven't seen her, I have her on my subscribe side. Give some friends some love. She does a lot of homegrown videos, a lot of animals. She has some cutest animals you could ever have seen, and some really sad and sappy stories that make you want to tear up because of these little animal stories that she does have. But she does go on some pretty cool adventures around her area, and she sees some really cool things. And I really think, if you like home garden, you like homegrown stuff, then that's perfect. She's a perfect lady to be checking out. So if you didn't hear it the first time, it's Amy Farmer. Check her site out. Also, I want to give a shout out to my buddy who's been helping me, as I previously stated in my earlier announcements in the game and the podcast. If I can't speak ever. It doesn't seem like it's going to just work out today. Lucasi3. I want to give a shout out to my buddy, Lucasi3. I believe I'm saying it right. If I'm not saying it right, then he'll chew me out and tell me I'm a terrible person, which I am for that, not being able to say that. But I have to give him some credit for all of his help along the videoing process, the concepts of getting ideas, music help, videos help, like, inspirations, games, and that sort of stuff. For all his contributions to my cause, I want to give him a good shout out because he's had to deal with an ignorant idiot or special in the head kind of guy like me. So he's got some patience, or either he doesn't understand me a lot, which, either or are just fine. I don't understand myself a lot. So if he's listening to this, hey man, thanks a lot. I look forward to our future projects together and more shout outs, hopefully. So with that being said, that ends the shout out section. If you guys haven't, you need to check out my website. I have actually redid the entirety of it, and I think it looks fantabulous, fantastic, English, blah. It looks great. You need to check it out, show some love on it, and, tell me what you think. It's, because I have it down, it's www.cohort, C-O-H-O-R-T, co.com. In case you're interested in whatever or not, I'll have it in the description, links down below. Check it out. Let me know what you think about it. If you don't check it out, then that's cool too. I prefer you did. I have an Imgur account also. It has all kinds of cool pictures because I usually load pictures up in my podcast because I love photos. I don't know why. It's an obsession. I have a channel or a photo account that's devoted to all those sorts of photos. So if you like what you see in the podcast, go to my Imgur account, check it out. And if you got an Imgurian, if you are an Imgurian, then like me or follow me or do something that involves Imgur, because I mean I use it all the time, but I'm in a beta mode right now and it's just confusing and it's really problematic and I don't like it very much. I'm not change, blah blah blah. That's exactly how I feel, honestly. And my Facebook. I have my Facebook link here on the channel. Check it out. It's my easiest access point to actually communicating with me personally. And I like to post all kinds of articles I find all over the world on it. It's my kind of my vomitorium, as it sounds horrible, but it's my vomitorium because I regurgitate stuff I find interesting, and I think people should know, should read, should check out articles, videos, all that cool stuff on it. So if you hadn't, then go check it out. It's totally worth it. Or if you don't like Facebook, then go to my Twitter. It has videos and stuff, and I tweet all the time, just not like a bird, because I can't do that. And if you made it this far, then congratulations! Your prize is my begging you to subscribe. There's a subscribe button below. If you haven't already done it, then do it. And if you're not going to do it, then why have you stuck this long to listen if you're not going to do it? But subscribe, check out all my other videos that are coming up. I post something every day. It doesn't matter if it's good quality, it doesn't matter if it's bad. No, I always post something every day is my goal. I want to have a video up every day in order to, to keep my skills on par and to just be active and being used to that kind of schedule. It keeps me in balance somewhat, if you would say. So check it out. I always have something new every day. It doesn't matter. It's sometimes Fallout 4, sometimes it's not. And also be sure to check out the song that I have listed below their site. Gotta go check them out because they have some really, really, really great tunes. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you'll have heard the same song. And it's really nice. And at the very end, I'll have a little sound bit for it so you can hear it. Go check those guys out. They do a lot of their local, I guess you would consider them local internet music providers. They're not really. They just make their own music and they want people to like it and they want people to like them. So I like to try to share them as much as possible because I love their music. So go check them out, support them, show some love, tell them I sent you if you do, and hopefully you'll like a lot of their stuff as much as I do. And you should, because you're a good person. I hope so. But with that being said, I'm going to close out this saga of an epic podcast, which I kept it below an hour. Yay! And almost below 45 minutes. Whoa! That's a first for me, considering some of my last podcasts take forever. That being said, though, guys, I like to part with you all, and hopefully we'll see each other again, or you'll listen to me again. So, as I like to say always, be classy, and don't be nasty, and be good to each other, okay? So, take care, and I'll see you soon.